In New York, the new discovery after that toddler died from exposure to fentanyl. 3 other children revived with Narcan. And federal authorities tonight saying fentanyl is the biggest threat in this nation. Tonight here, the images of the daycare seen through the windows, the crib, the mat where children would play and rest. Investigators at the scene protecting themselves with hazmat suits. The danger from exposure to fentanyl so great. In fact, prosecutors say it was 1 kilo of fentanyl stored on top of those play mats. They say enough fentanyl to kill 500,000 people. Tonight, the owner of the daycare is under arrest, accused of delaying calling 911. Her relative also arrested, accused of storing the fentanyl in that daycare. And 1-year-old Nicholas Dominici was pronounced dead at the hospital. He would have turned 2 years old in November. Of course, those 3 other children saved with Narcan. Tonight here, the warning of the threat to this nation, and ABC senior investigative reporter Aaron Katursky leading us off.
Tonight, new charges in a case that prosecutors say shocked the conscience of New York City and shows fentanyl is the most urgent threat the country faces. The owner of a Bronx daycare and her alleged co-conspirator facing federal drug charges after a 1-year-old died, and 3 children were poisoned and had to be revived with Narcan after exposure to fentanyl.
They were running a drug operation from a daycare center. A place where children should be kept safe, not surrounded by a drug that could kill them in an instant.
Prosecutors say Gray Mendez, the owner of Divino Nino Daycare, and a relative, Carlito Acevedo Brito, stored a kilogram brick of fentanyl on top of children's playmats used at nap time. The DEA says that's enough fentanyl to kill 500,000 people. Investigators also recovering machines used to package the drugs for sale. Mendez allegedly delayed calling 911, instead placing 3 other phone calls to cover up what happened. Prosecutors say her husband is seen on surveillance video carrying 2 full shopping bags out a back alley.
All of that happened while the children, the babies, were suffering from the effects of fentanyl poisoning and in desperate need of help.
Some first responders at the scene outfitted in protective gear.
As I want, you received a report that Battalion 27's on scene. They have an unknown substance in the basement.
1-year-old Nicholas Dominici died at the hospital. The boy had just started daycare, his heartbroken father saying, "I love him, I miss him, I want him back." Tonight, authorities are still searching for the daycare owner's husband. That facility had just passed an inspection. You found 1 kilo of fentanyl on playmats?
This is unfortunately the circumstances that are playing out across the United States, and specifically here in New York, where these drug traffickers are mixing fentanyl and other drugs, and they're creating this atmosphere of lethality.
In fact, the DEA, David, says it seized enough fentanyl last year to kill every single American. 2 of the children in this case remain in the hospital, and their daycare may have passed inspection, but daycare inspectors are not trained to spot fentanyl. Tonight, the city health commissioner says, David, maybe they should be.